Good evening. I'm Dwayne Etienne, News Director and Morning Show host at KSDM KGHS Radio. RJ Broadcasting does not support or oppose political party or candidates for office. RJ Broadcasting has a long-standing history in our community to provide unbiased candidate and issue information that is widely used by Minnesota voters regardless of their political beliefs. And we are pleased to be partnering with the International Falls Chamber of Commerce for this forum. Sponsorship for this forum is a public service providing you with an opportunity to hear the candidates discuss important issues face to face. The views expressed here tonight are those of the candidates and not those of RJ Broadcasting or the International Falls Chamber. Sponsorship of this forum is not an endorsement by the station or the chamber of any particular candidate. There's never enough time to cover all the issues. If you feel you have a question that's not addressed, please contact the candidate again directly after the forum. We will start the candidate forum with the opening statement. Each candidate will be given 3 minutes for their opening statement and 3 minutes for their closing statement at the end. Opening statements will be in alphabetical order, beginning with the candidates for the Koochian County Board, then the International Falls City Council, and finally the candidates for ISD 361 School Board. So the first opening statement will be Kevin Adey.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Kevin Adey. I'm current county commissioner, and I lost out in the primary vote, but I decided to go write-in campaign. I ended up spending 5 weeks in the hospital during the primary campaign. But I've been current county commissioner for 20 years, so I think I have the experience and knowledge of being elected again.
Thank you. The next would be Destry Hell.
Hello, Destry Hell. Born and raised in Little Fork. Running for county commissioner. That's about it.
Tim Matthews.
Hello, I'm Tim Matthews, born and raised in International Falls, Minnesota. I've known Destry for a long time. It's kind of a fun race. We're running against each other, but we have a lot of the same views. We worked together for 20 years. I don't think you guys can go wrong.
And Jackie Nagel.
Hi there, I'm Jackie Nagel, and I am running for District 2 County Commissioner. I worked with the county for 28 years and retired in February of 2022 and decided that I wasn't done with public service. So I have filed for office, and I am anxious to serve the constituents of District 2.
Thank you. We'll move over now to City Council positions and Mike Barr.
Hello, Mike Barr, from International Falls. I'm running for East Ward here. Yep, just hello.
Pete Kaler.
Hi, my name's Pete Kaler, and I'm also running for the East Ward with Mike here. And first of all, I would like to congratulate everybody up here on the stage that's willing to get up and out in front of some issues, and everybody. I've learned the various means is that it's a lot easier to try and fix problems at, say, maybe a watering hole or having coffee or something, talking with your friends. So congratulations to everybody that's up here running today. I have lived in International Falls all my life. Actually, I've lived in the same house most of my life through the years, and I live there today, and it is in Holler Addition there, Salt Falls. Very proud of being from that area of town. I retired about a year and a half ago from the sheriff's office, where I worked, about the same amount of time as Jackie, 30 plus years, and then some. And I with that and the other things I'm involved in with the Falls Hunger Coalition, I'm on the board, the City Charter Commission, and together with Veteran Suicide Prevention Project, along with some other social clubs that I'm involved in. Just an opportunity to get back to the community that has given so much to me. I'm very proud of, and as an example of that, I'm retired. I could live anywhere I want. I don't even go anywhere in the winter when it's warm. So thank you for coming tonight.
Okay, we'll move over now to the Independent School District 361 seats and Jennifer Baker.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Baker. I want to say thank you for having us here tonight and for all the people that came out today. I also want to thank the radio station and the chamber for hosting this and making sure we're a little bit more informed. I am a current school board, International Falls School Board member. I'm finishing my first 4-year term. I have been in the International Falls for 19 years and have 2 daughters. One is a senior at the high school and one graduated in 2021. I have worked in our district as a contract. I work at Rainy Lake Medical Center as a physical therapist, and I am contracted a few hours a week to be in the school district to serve children from birth to graduation for physical therapy services they need to help them participate in the school district. So it's been a real honor to be a part of the district for all these years, and it's been, even though I felt very familiar with the district, it's been a really good experience on the board to understand all part. I don't think I pretend to know everything yet, but how complex education is, how many ways we serve children and families, and what a wonderful staff that we have that are really dedicated at all levels, that are really dedicated to our kids. So it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Jessica Crosby.
All right, I'm going to stand up. My name is Jessica Crosby. I have lived in International Falls most of my life. I was in Duluth for about 11 years. I went to the University of Minnesota Duluth. I have 2 children, one of whom graduated from Falls High School in 2017 and is in her last year of law school at UND this year. We're very proud. And my other daughter is a sophomore in high school and is active on the swim team and the hockey team. My husband, myself, my mother, my grandmother are all graduates of Falls High School. I was also a coach with the district for 15 years. And I feel it's time for some new blood. I think there's some questions that need to be asked, some difficult questions that need to be asked of the school board and of the teachers. And I feel like I'm the person to do it. I won't be bullied, and I stand hard and stand fast with my views, and I will listen to my constituents, the parents, the grandparents of all the students in the school district. So thank you for the opportunity.
Mark Lassard.
Good evening, everyone. It appears myself and Kevin Adey are also write-in candidates. I guess it was my brother Mike was on the ballot initially, so I'm sure he'll be happy to learn that he missed this opportunity. I grew up in Rainier, Minnesota. I went to the St. Thomas Catholic School. I graduated and then went to Old Falls High for junior high, and then graduated from Falls Senior High. I spent a career in the military and in public health in Alaska. Returned home because this is my home. It was always my home. Want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I want to thank the people that are listening on the radio or watching on TV. The reason why I'm running is because I was telling a friend that, I find it really difficult to criticize someone for doing a job that I wouldn't be willing to do myself. So, and just as Jennifer pointed out, I also, I want to learn how the school runs, what goes on under the hood, do the homework, study the policies, study the contracts, study how the laws and the statutes behind it, and really get involved and make sure that that we're doing the best that we can for our customers, the parents of the school district and the grandparents and the taxpayers of Coochin County. So with that, I guess I will pass it on.
And Tina Sather.
Tina Sather. I guess I'm here because I want the same as Jess was saying, a little bit of change, a little bit of diversity on our school board. I grew up in International Falls, came up through our school district. I have 14-year-old twins that are currently in our school district. They're heavily involved in sports activities. And I guess one of the it's not the only reason that triggered me to run. I've thought about it for years. I've always been involved in school things. I've been involved in the figure skating club, in PI, the ski club, lots of activities, volunteering at the school. When the kids have events, I always sign up for that. But I guess some of the views lately that, the public communicated their feedback, they actually voted on it, and then the school board turned it down and voted their own way. I guess that's one of the main reasons that triggered me to run, as I'd like to see a little bit of diversity on the school board, different opinions, and just somebody that's in there voicing their concerns for the community. Thank you.
Okay. The first set of questions will be going to the county board. County board members can answer in any sequence that they desire. The first question is, what is your vision and mission for Coochin County? Whoever wants to take it first. Okay, let's send it over to Jackie Nagel. We'll go opposite if we started.
Hi, so my vision for Coochin County is that we need to bring broadband to every household, every business, every location throughout the county. That's my biggest driving force. I believe that digital equity and inclusion is extremely important, and we are lacking in that. A recent LEN broadband survey showed that Coochin County ranks 78th for digital equity out of 87. That's kind of sad. I also believe that broadband will bring to us advancement for education, for healthcare, for economic development, which is a reason why I feel so strongly that it's needed. I'm also concerned about affordable housing. We lack affordable housing for people, especially in the low-income bracket, so we need to work on that. Sorry, I'm struggling to think on my feet here. I'm also concerned about transparency in government. When I was out campaigning, especially in this last few weeks, I've heard a lot of feedback from people saying, I never know what's going on. I feel like there's some mystery club going on, and I don't believe that that's true, but I think that there's that perception because people just don't know what's really happening behind the scenes. That's great that people want to know more, but we have to find a way to keep them informed. And with that, I'll let someone else.
Tim Matthews.
My vision for the county would be to keep growing, to look at our tax base and our spending and try to get both of that equalized. A lot of taxes going on and a lot of spending. Is it really all that necessary? Are we spending our tax dollars wisely? And it's dollars that the audience are putting into the county and the county spending. Are they spending it wisely? Are they spending it the same way that the residents of the county would spend their dollars? There's a lot of things out there that it would be great to have. Broadband for everybody, yay, but is everybody willing to foot the bill? So, I mean, there's always things that are great to have, but are they worth it? So it's a lot of balance. I don't think anybody's going to jump on the county board and make everybody happy. That's really not what it's about. It's a lot of compromise. It's listening to people and really putting their voice to work. I don't think it's this job's going to be one that is going to be real beneficial to me. I think it's a community service, and I would take it as a position that's going to act for the community, and it's going to be a tough balance. So that's what I'm looking for.
Destry Hell.
I'm also, so we got to watch the taxes, the money being spent, and so we don't have to raise the taxes at the other end. Working well with the other board members to going in the right direction, and also getting the community involved, with the help of the board.
Kevin Adie.
Everybody always wants lower taxes. The county, as far as, spending tax money, the county is mandated to do a lot of things. And right now, especially, this year, we approved bonding for a new jail, which Department of Justice mandated that we had to do. And if we don't do it, there's repercussions to that, which means if you get prisoners in, you got to take them outside the county to another jail, which costs taxpayer money. You pay for them to go down to different places, to wherever they find room for them, and you pay for their expenses there, their medical expenses. You pay for, the mileage, of course, to get them there, to get them back. If they got court here, wherever you have them, you got to send somebody down to pick them up and bring them back at county's expense. There's a lot of things go on with that. Also, the county is the county health board. There's health-related issues sometimes that take place that county has to foot the bill for. And the list goes on and on and on. The one thing that helps us, there's this item called PILT, which is payment in lieu of taxes. The county has a lot of public land out there, and the state pays us, I forget what the dollar amount is. Well, this year, this coming year, it's going to be like $1.8 million, which will help keep the taxes down a little bit. But again, with the state mandating all those things, plus many other things, that's why the county has such a high tax base, or high tax item. So anyhow, my time is up, I guess. So.
All right, we'll start this next question with Tim Matthews. We are the #1 county in the state for loss of population. What should we do to change it?
Well, that's where we need to work on our economic development. Used to work at the PCA, and it's great industry, employs a lot of folks around here, but it's really our mainstay. That's the only thing we have. We really need to build up some other businesses and industry. Tourism is great. Is there some more things that we can do in the wintertime to make it a 12-month operation? It's tough to get people here when it's 45 below, I know that, but is there some things that we can do there? So be interested in helping out with the economic development, see if we can get some more businesses and industry in the area to get our employment up. And employment brings people, families, and brings economic development. So that's what we're looking for.
Jackie?
So I do agree with Tim. Economic development is the way we're going to bring more people in, which is why I'm an advocate, such a strong advocate for broadband, The ability to work from home has been identified through the pandemic as highly desirable for many people. If we had the broadband to support people who can either move back here or choose to move here because of our beautiful environment, that will be a boost to our economy. That's how we build our population. And you're right, we're losing over 1% of our population a year. We can't afford to continue to lose that population, so I agree. Economic development is where it's at, to bring people back to the county, give them the opportunity to work from home, or even to bring those big businesses in locations where they don't currently have all the infrastructure they need, including broadband.
Kevin?
Economic development is good, great actually, but one thing with Coochin County, you know, we've got the most wetlands of anyone across the lower 48 states. And so trying to find, you know, business, especially to come in and find some place to build, to develop something where people can get good jobs and make a decent living, because of those wetland rules, makes it very challenging and difficult for a bigger business, especially to come in here. People just you know, building homes and that, you know, the number of permits and that for people doing the construction, doing building and of homes and that is great, because Coochin County is, along with a lot of counties in the country, are actually low on the amount of housing that they have available. One thing that happens when people do build those homes, though, is guess what? It keeps taxes down. That amount goes towards the percentage of what am I trying to think of here? It helps with the levy. But anyhow, that's about it.
And Destry Hill.
The economic development is good. Try to get bigger businesses here, as everybody has talked about. There isn't much more to be said about that. You try to bring more business in, keep the taxes down.
Okay, let's head on over to the City Council, Mike Bar and Pete Kaler. This first question comes from a citizen. A recent proposal, recommendation by Bolton and Mank to change the zoning laws to require 75 feet or 9,500 square feet to build when currently it's 37.5 feet. How is increasing the required lot width and square footage going to help the city create more affordable housing? Pete, you want to take that one first?
Yeah, I would say if it is intended to help, it would be probably bigger. You'd need bigger lots for multi-family residences, like duplexes or triplexes or apartment buildings. And as Jackie said, with the county too, there is an affordable housing crisis in town. I'll go ahead and call it that, where people can live, and that is one way to help that with multi-family homes. And I figure that will be one of the main reasons to make the lots bigger.
Mr. Barr?
Yeah, I guess I don't see that as a good thing, 75 feet across. If you're trying to build more houses, obviously you're gonna have to build, I work with the county, and we do the foreclosed, the state forfeit lots, and a lot of those lots are just like 25 or even 50 wide. If you're looking for 75 wide and you're knocking down houses, you're not gonna be able to build. It's just gonna be more unbuildable lots sitting in town, and as long as they're on the, as long as they're state-owned for the tax forfeit, you're not getting any tax out of that. So the idea is then sell it to the neighbor. And a lot of those neighbors don't want it, especially if it's a rental. So it's just going to be more lots sitting empty all around town, dotted all around town, and not on the textbooks. I don't see that as a good idea whatsoever.
All right, this next question, we'll keep it with you. Do you agree with demolition of blighted properties, or would you rather see them repaired if possible?
Well, yeah, I would, if the buildings or properties are able to be repaired, and yeah, that would be a good idea instead of demolish them. But I don't believe they demolish the properties if they're fit to live in. And most people that are owners of these property have been given more than ample time to upgrade their houses. I remember when I was on the board before, there was more than one person that came and asked for an extension, and they got it. But if it comes to the point where they're not taking care of their house, whether they don't live there or they're out of town or they're renting it to people that shouldn't even be living in there and it's uninhabitable, it should be taken down for health concern reasons, you know, for vermin and other things. And some buildings are just dangerous. After a while, if they're not upkept, then they need to be taken down.
Mr. Barr?
All right, so again, I do the state forfeit properties for the county. And so we get a lot of those properties that, you know, maybe somebody died in the home, the kids didn't want to move back here, didn't want to deal with it. And so then they quit paying the taxes on it. And so after whatever the time is, 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is, it drops into the lap of the state, and then it drops into the county's hands. And a lot of those houses are in pretty tough shape, but I mean, there's certainly some that are in pretty good shape. And after a while, you know, once the period that they can come and pay their properties back, they actually get sold at the tax forfeit auction, and some of those houses get, you know, remodeled. But the ones that, you know, in really tough shape obviously get tore down. And so, you know, we try to save as long as we can, but not all of them can be saved. And so the deal is that the city had to close their landfill, and so everything goes to the county landfill now, and the city does the demolition for the county, but not for private individuals anymore. And I guess kind of the way I see it, if you let your house get that bad, why have the city pay for your demolition? You let it go, you know, get dilapidated. You know, I definitely think the people that let their house get that extreme should pay their own bill to have it demoed. Save the town money.
Okay. And gentlemen, based on what you know about city government, what do you see as the top priorities for the city and why?
The top priorities, you know, everybody says, I think everybody in the building, anybody on the street will say economic development will help the tax base, but there's things that need to go along with that. And one of the first things is we got to make our community welcoming to all people and all businesses that come to town if they do want to come to town, I think, and to help the people that already live here with businesses, with different financial help and any support they can have, but also someone from out of town comes to help them too, and help the less fortunate people that need a hand. Because as I mentioned, I'm on the Paul's Hunger Coalition, and you would be amazed at the number of the people and who they are that cannot help themselves. They can help themselves, but are in hard times or whatever, that need some assistance, even to just get over the hump for a while at this time, you know, especially with the pandemic that went by and stuff. So I think that if we need to get an attitude of sometimes let's write about International Falls and spread that word. We have a lot of people in town that are very giving and caring. All you have to do is go to a fundraiser sometime or a benefit for a person. I helped at the benefit at the Elks a couple of weeks ago for the people from Northern Air, and you'd be amazed at the help and the people that came. And there must be some things that are right in town. We have 2 new motels, another business that comes in, and people looking all the time. So there must be some good things going on in town. And I think we need to promote our area, the people, and the good things. And we're trying to improve the infrastructure, which you need for people coming to town, new businesses. We got new roads coming in on 53, on 2nd Avenue East, 15th Street. These are things that are good things that we need to promote. And one of the most important things if we're with economic development, is they get businesses in town, like Jackie said, and I agree wholeheartedly. I said that the last time I ran, and the time before that, and the time before that. That is one of the most key essential things, and that is like giving a business TIF financing to get them to help them build their projects, because these people, especially after the pandemic, they want to live in rural areas, they can work at home, they can stay there. That means they come and they pay taxes. And when it comes to businesses, yes, everybody wants nice, high-paying jobs, but any business that comes to town, Dunkin' Donuts, Hardee's, restaurants, they all pay taxes. Thank you.
Mike Barr? You want me to ask it again?
Yeah, maybe ask again.
The question is, based on what you know about city government, what do you see as the top priority for the city and why?
Oh, I guess I'd like to see them control the spending a little better. I see them spending quite a bit on all these, roads and stuff. I mean, the road in front of my place didn't even need it. But you go down 9th Street around like the 700 block, and that thing's needed it for probably 20 years. So I think they're maybe focused on some of the wrong roads that they needed in town. But I mean, it looks all nice and everything. But what's that for? Like the tourists, so they see a nice road as they pass through, get gas, and go on to Canada. I mean, we probably could have spent some of that money a little better. I know we certainly don't need a water park at Cary Park or anything like that. I don't see that as anyhow improving, quality of life or bringing any business or anything to town. Like kind of pay off some of this debt that we've acquired, this $6 million or whatever on these roads, and get rid of that 1.5% and just be financially responsible around here. I guess that's kind of what I was looking for. Maybe get rid of some of these unnecessary blight laws too. There's quite a bit of that, and I mean, some of it gets down to like just harassing people, and some of it's, you kind of know when you have trash all over your yard. Maybe that's a different conversation than you have 6-inch lawn. I mean, things like that. I guess I'll leave it at that.
Okay, let's move over to the school board. And we'll start with Jennifer Baker. And Jennifer, what are the top needs for our school district?
I feel like we have a lot of needs and a lot of areas of strength. Funding is challenging as our town gets smaller. Our funding is based on how many kids are in our buildings and how much time they're there. And it's a fixed income set by the state, and there are some other contributions that come into it, and it's very complicated and where money can be spent. And we have the biggest district in our county with the most amount of buildings to maintain, the largest staff. So providing education, good education, is not cheap, and you get what you pay for. And we have a smaller community, so we have a limited amount where we can tap into our community too. And so we have to do the most we can with what we have, and sometimes that means we've had to make some really tough choices. Going forward, a lot of districts, not just ours, a lot of districts are struggling because of expenses that have occurred and populations getting smaller, and wanting and seeing the needs that children have. Children are coming to school in with a lot of needs. Mental health needs have gone up, and we need to address them, and we're understanding them a little bit better. Our children need good food, and sometimes kids can't learn very well and they don't have sufficient nutrition. And some families, as was already said, are struggling. The need for the hunger or the food insecurity in our community has gone up significantly. So there's a lot of strain on the community, and that comes into the school. So providing everything we need to provide is the biggest challenge that our board has, because it's our job to try to be responsible with the monies that we're given and provide the best education we have. There's more I'd like to give our students, always has been. There are times I wish my kids had more opportunities. There's kids I work with that I wish I could provide more, or other people, or they could get more services or more resources. I think education should be exciting and engaging, and we want to give our kids the most opportunities we can in a safe, welcoming environment. So I'd say funding is probably our biggest need right now.
Tina? Yeah, the question is, what are the top needs for the school district?
The top needs for the school district, I guess since I'm not heavily involved on a school board right now, I don't know all the insights, but I think one of the big issues I see, and I don't see it with my children, but I hear it, them coming home talking about it, other parents talking about it, is bullying in our district. I know a lot of people, they're pulling their children, putting them in Indus, putting them in Little Fork, and I think our school needs to find out why, because that ties back into the funding, you know, like Jen just said, we need more funding, and everybody does, and that ties back to the student. I think that's one of the biggest top priorities I've heard people expressing concerns about. I've also heard people expressing concerns in different areas that are being funded in our district, they think should be funded in other areas. And I guess if I'm elected for school board, I try and find out what those areas are, because right now I don't have all the insights, but it's definitely something I would look into. But I think bullying and funding is a big concern in our district.
Okay, Jessica.
So I'm probably going to be the most unpopular person in town right now, but I don't disagree with anything Jen said about funding, but I do think there are ways to address it. Why, as a county or a tax base as small as we are we supporting 3 school districts? I mean, I think that needs to be addressed. I think we could provide a lot more opportunities for kids and for the teachers if we did some combining. That's what all the schools on the range are doing. They're having funding difficulties. Virginia, Mountain Iron, Buell, Evelyn, Gilbert, they've all combined. You know, there's several other schools on the range that have combined for those reasons, the funding. And I think that that's something that we need to look into. And I don't know that it's been brought up a lot. And I know that people have very strong feelings. I do too. I was a Bronco. I like my kids being a Bronco. And I know that if the schools combined, we probably would have to, you know, come together and figure out different mascots and different school, you know, colors and all that kind of good stuff. And that's those are hard things. But I think that's something we need to do because the funding isn't there. There's also over 200 kids in our district, even before the masking debacle last year, that live in ISD 361 and do not attend school here. Why? Why are they transferring out? Why are they homeschooling? My husband talked to the superintendent and he said, well, they don't like teachers or they don't like this, they don't like that. 200 kids, that's $2 million in funding. Don't you think we should be out there asking those hard questions? And they don't want a consulting company calling them, asking them why your kid doesn't want to go to school in this district. We need to be doing that as a school board. So I agree with you. Funding is very difficult and it's very prominent. But I think there are some ways to address it, and I think we need to start asking the hard questions.
Mark.
Well, I think a state championship hockey team would be great. But all kidding aside, I mean, obviously the first priority would be to give, you know, the kids in the school district, the children, you know, a world-class, you know, education. And And then I guess the other priority I would see is you know, Jack had mentioned about transparency. I would see the same thing with the school board, having more transparency. If you're going to ask the parents a question, then take action on the answers that you get. And I think that there are hard questions to ask. You know, and I think just as Jessica indicated, yeah, that's the number one question. Why are 200 kids in the school district not going to school there? And I think that, you know, I do believe if, you know, parents are the ones that are making these decisions, you know, if they think their kids can get a better education in Little Fork or in Indus or at St. Thomas or whatever, why do they feel that way? And, you know, how do we correct those deficiencies? So that's, I think, you know, I had a wonderful school experience when I was in, you know, when I got out of the Catholic school. I had a wonderful experience there, but, you know, going to school, being a Bronco, I hope the kids that are there now are having that same experience, but I don't know if they are. And and I think there are hard decisions that got to be made. I mean, if we got to, you know, reduce the staff size or whatever, I mean, you can save all the paper you want, but at the end of the day, you know, you're probably talking about jobs and combining, just like you said. So my priority would be is to make sure that the process is transparent, the parents are getting the information that they need to make good decisions about their children's education, and that we are responsive to the parents' needs.
Go ahead and keep the mic. Mark, this question was submitted to us by a community member. Are you for equity or equality?
I'm a firm believer in equality of opportunity. I'm a firm believer in someone doesn't give you an education, you get an education. As far as talking about at the school board level. Equity to me means the similarity of outcome. Well, I guess in my mind, equity would be like if the math teacher said, hey, we're having a test on Wednesday, but everybody's getting a B. I mean, that would make no sense whatsoever. Where would be the investment to do what you can to study? And, you know, obviously some kids have to study harder than others or whatever, or, you know, some kids are more motivated, they're better gifted, whatever, but everyone doesn't end up with a B. You know, we should be looking at where there's opportunity to have advanced curriculum or whatever to give folks opportunities, or the children or the students that are willing to invest the effort and the studying to get ahead. So the bottom line is yes, it's about equality of opportunity. You know, sure, we all want to see everybody come out with a good result. There's no doubt about that. But I think, once again, you can't force feed an education to someone, and at the same time, you have to measure in a way that makes sense.
Okay. Tina.
I guess my opinion is most kids, the majority, have the same opportunities as all the kids that are going to our district. So I don't think any specific groups of kids should get treated any different than any others. I have one child with special needs and I have one without. They're treated equally. My son has the same opportunities through his special ed classes that my daughter has in her normal classes. My son can go to the normal classes throughout the day if he wants. If he needs that extra help, he can go out and get it. They're still treated equally. So the opportunities should still be there.
Jessica?
I think I'm pretty much in alignment with what Mark and Tina have said. I believe every child should have the same opportunities. The question is, what do you do with those opportunities? And that's up to each family, each child, parents, to make that decision. What do you do with those opportunities? What are you teaching your kids? Is school important? You know, are your studies important? What are your priorities in life? Where do you want to get? So I do believe in equality in terms of everyone gets the same opportunities, but what you do with that opportunity is up to you.
And finally, Jennifer.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Are you for equity or equality?
I feel, I guess, I might not have, I mean, I feel like I'd like a review of exactly how they're both defined, but what I would say is we need to meet kids where they are. So, and that means sometimes we are providing more for one student than another to give them the same opportunity because they're starting at a different place. So some kids get free and reduced lunch because there's a need there that we define, and a well-fed child can learn better. And a child who needs extra time, they're getting a different, they're not getting just across the board, this is what we give kids, this band of activity, this is what we give kids. No, we give kids what they need. We try to. It's not perfect, and it's a lot of working with families to see where they're at too. There's a lot going on to try to meet kids where they are so that they have the same opportunity, but with given different resources to find their best growth, right? So that a child who's functioning low academically might need different resources to have growth. We want that child to grow in academics and in a holistic, whole, well-rounded way as they develop. And a child who is a high flyer and is functioning very well in school, they also need to grow. But they need different things. This child may need a different type of academic intervention than a child at that other level. We want all kids to grow, and they're starting at different places, and that's where we have to meet them.
And we'll start this one with Jessica. And the question is, what role should the community play in this education process?
We are the community. The school board is the community, parents are the community, kids are the community. School board reports to the parents. Like there's no, to me it's not, there's a very clear line there. And I think the community has to play a large role in the education system of any town or any city, simply because their taxes are funding it. First of all, you're paying for it. And second of all, your kids are experiencing it. So I think that the community plays a very large role in the school and the school board and the school district, because you're the boss. The parents are the boss, and the grandparents, whoever's paying the bills.
Mark?
Could you say the question again?
Sure. What role should the community play in supporting the education?
Right. So, I mean, yeah, it's takes a village to raise a child, takes a community to produce a good generation of students and citizens. And I agree, it's the school board has a direct line of responsibility to the parents and taxpayers of Couchiching County School District 361. And, ultimately, I think all of our goals should align that we want to provide that best, educational experience, to have great athletics, to have great extracurricular activities, and to provide a world-class core education.
Tina? Sure. What role should the community play in supporting the education?
I guess that's one of the main reasons why I'm here, is because during the pandemic, a lot of people were speaking out about the mask situation. They weren't happy about it. They were going to the school board meetings. But yet I see once that is resolved, like nobody goes. So I think the community does need to play a bigger role. They do need to voice their concerns, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here, is because I did voice my concern. I feel like I was told I was heard, but yet I still wasn't really listened to. I felt like a different agenda was used rather than the community and what the community wanted. And that's why I'm running for school board. I really want to listen to and be the voice of the community.
And finally, Jennifer.
My passion for education comes from a fundamental idea that when communities do well, the schools are going to be doing better, and when the schools are thriving, the community also does better. It brings more families and businesses to town. Our schools grow because they choose our school and our district. So a healthy, successful school benefits the community, and the community also supports this. A school will be better when the community supports it. So what I feel like that means, it means getting involved, being willing to come and ask questions and learn more about how things run. It means sending your child, if you have children in the districts, it means sending your child ready, well fed, having slept well, done their homework, valuing, asking them to show up the best they can every day. So it's providing for your student the best you can. And it means interacting with the district. I feel like the school district will always be more successful when it's functioning as a partnership between students, staff, community, and family. So all four are really important parts to this, to the success of the school. So I think supporting our students and the Broncos, and whether it's athletics or it's academics, it's people coming into the school and sharing their resources and their talents through junior achievement or other ways that people volunteer. It's parents showing up to volunteer. It's a partners in education type of parent-run group that's trying to support the school. It's calling and asking questions. It's paying attention to who's on the ballot and trying to vote for the right person. I think it goes both ways. I think it's always better when it's a partnership. And the school reaches out in a lot of ways, and that has been one of my passion since before I was ever on the school board, is to help provide more communication between the school and the community in a variety of ways. And that's harder to do than you think sometimes. They reach out in the paper, they reach out to families, they do lots of ways that they communicate with families and with the community. And a lot of it isn't really received. People aren't reading the paper, or if they're not listening to the news, or if they're not reading, people don't even listen sometimes to the calls that the school feels are important enough to go home. So there's a lot of work trying, and we are continuing to try to be better at that, because finding people where they are, parents and community members, so how can we get the word out? How can we invite them in? There's a lot of times we invite people in and they don't come, so we want our best to keep at that so that we can have a good partnership.
Thank you. We'll switch back over to the county, and Kevin, we'll have you start this one. And the question for the county candidates is, the last 2 years for the county board, how do you view the success or lack thereof of this last 2 years?
That's a tough question. There were so many people that were divided, with the mandates, the mask mandates, the vaccine mandates. It made a division within the people of the county, well, actually of the nation. But because I think it affected everybody, every county, every city. Sometimes families against members of the family. I think we all just needed to kind of look at the situation and just do what they felt was best. Some people didn't make it, passed away as a result of not following mandates. Myself, I got COVID when I was in the hospital this summer, or this August, just from being in the hospital. It's just something that it was a personal thing to everybody. However they felt was the best way to do it is the way they did it. And, some people it worked out for. Some people who followed precautions, it didn't work out for. So, all right, thank you.
Destry?
Yeah, the last 2 years been tough with the COVID. I got a vaccine. I got the vaccine. I still ended up with COVID like a year later. It was a tough thing, worldwide, nationwide. Divided a lot of people, and it was pushed down from the government. So the county did the best that they could do.
Tim?
One of the things Destry and I aren't running against an incumbent, so we're really looking to the future, not looking at the past and what went on in the past, but we're really looking to make informed, educated decisions with the future, with the financing, with the spending, with the decisions that the county board has to make. So that's what we're looking towards, is really the future. You always have to look back at the past and see what mistakes were made and what went wrong. Trying to figure out who to blame doesn't really account for anything. You always want to really be looking forward and making good decisions, and that's all I got to say about that.
Jackie?
Hi, so I would agree that the pandemic took its toll on the county residents, but I also believe that we've shown in that time. At the start of the pandemic, there were endless hours put in to make sure everybody could work remotely. That happened in like a 7-day period. All the county employees were deployed to work remotely from home, and they did well. People did not always get the responses they needed as quickly as they could, but they got the services they needed. Looking at other things beyond the pandemic, I think our community has shown by rising to the challenge. We had a disastrous flood this spring. We saw people coming out of the woodwork to help. There was lots of volunteerism. The emergency management was quick to respond. They learned lessons from the 2008 flood. 2014 flood. Things just went better this time around. Likewise, we've seen great progress with projects. We had 2 huge broadband projects come into the county. One's almost done, one's almost starting. Those are great strides of improvement in our county. The county board has wrestled with what to do with the jail, and they're reaching a conclusion with that. They've bonded for it. They're working on plans. Those are huge accomplishments that have happened. Those are mostly this recent year. But I believe over the last 2 years, we've also seen some very good things happen in spite of being in a pandemic.
Thank you. And we will switch this over to the city. And this first question is from Mike Barr. What would you do differently, if anything, to address the housing crisis, including homelessness, than the approach that the current council and administration has already taken?
So, it's been a lot of years, but they were talking about doing something over at Bacchus. I guess it would be the AV side, making all those apartments. I think that would go a long way to solve some of the problems. I don't exactly know where the funding is, or the contractors, where they are on that, but I think that would definitely help. It'd get a lot of people maybe out of some of these motels in town, using them like monthly housing. Fix up some of these houses. There's plenty of open houses in town. And then kind of another thing I noticed was there's a lot of like snowbirds. So their houses are completely empty. They come up here for a couple of months in the summer and then they leave again, but their houses are empty. Not that you can do anything about it, but it's just interesting that a lot of the houses, you go driving around and they're empty for one reason or another, and you can really tell that in the winter when there's snow all the way up to the house. But the Bacchus thing could potentially solve some of those problems, I think. wherever they are on that project.
Mr. Kaler?
I was a little thrown off there when you said it was for Mike. I thought it was personally for him. So, but the housing problem. Well, what the city can do to help, what do you do to help homeless problem? For one, there's some homeless people that they prefer to be homeless. They don't want help. They basically just want to be left alone. But another thing we can do is help the private sectors, or like the Servants of Shelter. They have the Northern Lights Motel now they're refurbishing, and that is the type of thing that the city could help them with different funds or in-kind help, or helping with like different the zoning laws like you brought up, to let people stay there and help them keep them up and encourage that. And another thing that goes on with that is encourage, if you're homeless, there's a good chance you're hungry. Encourage or help with the food organizations, or like Bacchus, or they have the meals in the afternoon, or Paul's Hunger Coalition. But I think it's just to reach out, and if people come to help you and promote, when there are places for people to stay, do the best you can to say, hey, you do not have to live here. Maybe have outreach for people to give them the information where you can go. Maybe they're homeless for the first time. Set up kiosks with information in City Hall, or just going out at the ambulances and fire department when there are calls and there's somebody down on the ground and you can tell they're homeless, or the police have the resources to get them to get pointed to where they are. But it's a whole town effort, it's a community effort, and that's another thing like here that we keep talking, community transparency and working together. And these are all things that, yes, you have a city council and city government that can give you direction and help, but it's going to take everybody to help. And just have different, when you have health fairs, have booths and stuff where people can go, and possibly even go out and drive around, whether it's a city council, administration. When you see people, stop and talk to them, just engage with them, see what their problems are, because before you know what's really holding them back, you won't be able to help where they're at and what they would like for help and what you can do to help them. Thank you.
Okay, let's leave it with the city council candidates. Do you think our main street downtown is healthy and successful?
I guess that's all in the eyes of the beholder, I guess. I can remember when it was a lot less healthy than it is now. They have the groups going out trying to help with the beautification of it, with the flower plants and all those things. They go and try and keep that up. The city, I believe, does a good job to upkeep, do the best they can. But if you look, there's since the last election, since I ran, there's border booths. There's a place, I don't know what it is, in Lyndon Larson's office. There's different buildings that are going in and getting filled with businesses. I know somebody just bought the Masonic Temple, and they're planning to put some living spaces up top, I believe, when I talked to the people that purchased it. So is it thriving as much? No, but I think it's on the upswing the most, and I think it's just going to continue to go forward. I think with the type of shops they have, and maybe some of the things we got to do to get people to town and go towards sometimes seasonal people. But I think it's growing. I think people are giving it a shot. We have the Moose building that they refabricated and getting it going. So, and those are all things that help town, and I think they're trying, and I think it's getting much better. And Swanky gifts or whatever it is. Well, it was news to me. I thought it was still a soap shop. I didn't know it was candy until last Christmas. And somebody had told me that, no, it's candy now, Pete. So there you go. So now I'm way more interested than when it was a soap shop. But I think it's still good and on the upswing. I mean, they're trying. It isn't like it's dead or it's not like a ghost town.
Mr. Barr?
Yeah, can we say that one again? Just.
Do you think our Main Street downtown is healthy and successful?
Well, I guess it's speculatory. I mean, what's your definition of successful? I mean, are we doing $1 million businesses down there? Certainly not. But I mean, for this town, I think they're doing probably pretty good. I mean, as best as you can in town this size. I guess I don't get down there much, but I know they certainly got a newer street down there, like they tore that up and things like that leading to it. I guess I don't really have too much of an opinion about downtown. But I mean, elsewhere besides just downtown, I mean, we have a couple new motels and we got that Fleet Supply in, and I mean, so businesses are, coming to town, which is a good thing, I guess. So.
Okay. And we'll go back to school board. And let's start with Tina. And the question is, why are you running for school board and what will you bring it?
Why am I running? I think I've kind of expressed that already, but I've thought about running for school board for probably the last 3 years, just different things that came up. I thought, I probably would have done that a little bit different, and that's kind of what triggered me to run. I would just like the school board to work more with the community, listen more to the community, take their values and opinions. I think the school board could probably work with the city a little bit more, have some of the same planning and agenda items as the city, I think would help a lot. And I guess I'm running to just try and make it a better place for the teachers, the students, and the community.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, just as I said earlier, I have a hard time criticizing the job someone's doing if I'm not willing to step up and do that job also. And I guess what motivated me to look at running for the school board was that, once again, what I saw, the mask thing get voted almost, unanimously when, it was obvious the community was not behind that decision. Other school districts had done it differently, and I understand, there's risk involved, but, having served in the military and in the health department and in leadership positions, when you're a leader, there's, you have to be able to accept a certain amount of risk, and there is risk. If you make a wrong decision, you may not get elected again, but you have to take the risk. It has to be evaluated. You do the analysis, and you try to make the best decision. I guess what I looked at was, essentially what I saw was, what I observed was the school board essentially hijacked by one personality, and everybody jumped in step and said, yep, that's what we're going to do. So, and I thought, just as General Patton said, if we're all thinking alike, no one's thinking. So, and there was plenty of data out there, and I'm not trying to rehash the whole thing, but I'm saying there's more than one way to look at a problem. And diversity of opinion and diversity of knowledge, it's all plays into that. And once again, if everybody's thinking alike, then nobody's thinking. So that's why I decided to run for school board.
And Jennifer?
I initially ran for school board 4 years ago because I evaluated, I wanted some things to change. I wanted to know more, and I felt like I should show up. Like you're suggesting, I should show up if I feel like there should be change, and if I have skills and willingness to invest, I should make an attempt to do that. So I was lucky enough to be able to serve on the school board. I learned a lot in that time, and in those 4 years, our choices weren't always popular, as illustrated here. I felt that each of my decisions had to be made with the best information that I had, with all of the players considered, all the stakeholders, which is, as I mentioned, the community, the school, the staff, the students, and the families. So I feel proud about my efforts at the school board. I've asked a lot of questions. I've sat in negotiations. I've thought very thoughtfully about the decisions that we made, and I didn't take the difficult ones lightly. And I feel like if I can still offer something, I'm willing to run again. And some of the things that I'm excited about is the growth for our community, is the growth with our school. Growth being our strategic plan. We recently invested in asking students. There was time spent with students, staff, families, and the board. All did separate work sessions with a company that we consulted with named Teamworks, everyone I spoke to, I didn't speak to everybody that participated, but everyone I spoke to told me it was a really positive experience. That the questions that are getting asked about where we've been and where we want to go are important ones. This is the discussion we should be having. What do we want it to be like? What do the students want it to be like for the best learning that they can get? And what the families and the staff need or also feel is important for that best daily experience at school. Because that will be the most robust, most well-rounded, and most nurturing education experience. So I'm really excited about what's coming, because we've finished most of that process, and we're in a spot now where we're ready to take action. So I felt like I really want to see this through. I want to see us start to take action. That some of this action was being taken before the pandemic hit, which derailed a lot of the things that we wanted to be doing. And so we're getting ourselves moving again in that direction that we're committed to. We're committed to education for the kids, committed to communication with the families and the community and the staff, and committed to growing, maybe more students in our seats despite a smaller community, and new opportunities with the resources that we have, being creative about it.
And Jessica.
So it's kind of a hard question to answer, because there's personal reasons and there's, the obvious reasons. I, like Mark, feel like if I'm not willing to do it, it's kind of a put up or shut up type thing. I can't criticize if I'm not willing to put myself out there and be a part of the solution. I have a child that's still in the district, one that graduated from the district. I'm a little dismayed at the direction that the school has taken since even I was in school. I feel like Mark also alluded to the fact that I think the school board was hijacked by one person, maybe a couple personalities. I know in my personal experience at a couple board meetings, there was little to no discussion. Decisions were made just by saying, okay, does anybody have anything to say? Nope, okay, we'll vote. And you're just kind of like deer caught in the headlights, because there should be some discussion. So where is that discussion happening? When is that discussion happening? I'm not sure, but it should be happening at those meetings. I guess the main reason that I'm running is I don't want to see anybody treated the way I was treated. I coached in the district for 15 years and was not re-offered my position for pretty much, well, I was given reasons, but there was absolutely no documentation behind it. The HR person for the school even told the superintendent that they couldn't do what they were doing, and they did it anyways. So I guess I don't want to see anyone else treated that way. There is due process. There are Minnesota state statutes that govern the way people are supposed to be, the way coaches and teachers the jobs are supposed to be handled. And it wasn't handled that way with me, and I don't want to see that happen to anybody else. So put myself out there and telling some very personal things, and I was very upset by the way it was handled. And I'm hoping I can prevent that in the future.
Thank you. Before we have the candidates give their closing statements, are there anybody in the audience who would like to ask a question?
different ideas that are innovative for future, say, the growth or for the school board. Just some things that I was thinking right off the top of my head is, helping with the, homeless, with all the land that we have around here. Are there people out there that are willing to, say, donate, lending out their land, not donating out completely, but doing farm projects to grow more food for some of the, less fortunate. I know we're doing part of that now, but if we could do that in a big way and use like some of the kids from the school, teaching them different skill sets that can prepare them for the future. I mean, is there a think tank out there that we could go to that we can think outside the 9 dots, as per se, get out of our own form of regularity that we were brought up, what worked for us as kids, and now we're, old adults. It's not working for our young people, and they're moving out of this town. That's proof that we're losing capita in our town. Is there something that we can use as a resource? And I'd be willing to bet it's right in your high school.
Is there a candidate on the stage who'd like to address it?
Have we thought about going to the high school kids and saying, hey, and giving this forum and said, hey, what could we do to help the homeless? What could we do to help downtown? What could we do? They might have some great ideas.
Is there a think tank? I'm sure any problem we have up here, we could get in charge or in touch with a think tank. As a matter of fact, when I was on the council back in 2013, when they shut down the paper machines, we spent upwards of $100,000 with a think tank and pretty much told a lot of what we already knew, but some new things that we could do. We had big meetings for a while, but then it kind of caved in, whatever, lost momentum. And I agree, these things are all good, but whether it's the city, the county, the school district, if you go for outside help, I'm all for that, but you also got to be committed to doing what they want you to do.
There's a lot of resources out there that you don't have to spend money. It's like, look at all the docks that have to be rebuilt on Rainy Lake. I bet there's a bunch of kids in woodshop, and I know the guy that teaches the class, because he bought my grandfather's house, would love to go out there and teach a kid how to build a dock on Rainy Lake.
That is another no, yes, but the think tank, when you said think tank, I'm thinking think of like North Band or the Northland Foundation or KEDA or something like that. But if you mean, well, that's like what I said, the home.
See, that's conventional thing. How about a think tank that has a kid that's in high school?
And that's why when I brought up homeless, the city council, you have to get, if you remember, it's a community problem, and we got to get community together, and then that is and it's easier said than done. And I know, and I'm just saying, it's like when everybody talks, I would have loved when I go to meetings and council meetings when I did to have a turnout like this, But you're right, yes, it takes everybody on board, no matter what the problem is, and people got to put their personal thoughts and politics aside if we really want to make what's better for the community, the school, the county. And I agree, I forget who said it earlier, if one does good, it's all just going to go down that way.
Okay, we've exceeded time on that. Anybody else want to address it? Any other questions?
I can speak very loud.
Okay.
So my question is for the county, Michigan County, and specifically for Destry Health, Tim Matthews, since you are in my district. And I heard you talk about economic development and taxes being too high. And I live on the river in Rainier, year, so we were some of those people whose taxes doubled or tripled. However, I'm not a 1%er, I'm just barely a middle classer, and I don't give a rat's about the taxes. What I care more about is what my taxes are used for, and that would be education, that would be taking care of people, that would be social services, okay? We have all kind of money that we have spent on economic development people who are supposed to be leading that charge. So I'm wondering, as county commissioners, what else do you care about? Because what you talked about doesn't matter to me, and I'm going to be voting for one. There you go.
There you
go. She said it. Yeah. I want to know, I mean, other than taxes and economic development, what are you going to do for me? Because those are not issues that are important in my life. They are not important in my life. I have spent my entire career working as a mental health professional, as a psychiatric nurse, as an advanced practice nurse, and so my concern is about people, not about taxes or economic development, unless that would bring things into the community. The only person I heard say anything about bringing things into the community was Jackie, who talked about broadband. And it's like electricity was back in the 30s. Everybody needs broadband like they needed electricity. Okay, so what are you going to do for me?
What do you want?
Could we use the mic, please?
I want you to focus on things other than, you know, the taxes are too high. Yeah, they are for a lot of people. And then there's a lot of us that don't care if our taxes are used well. I mean, if taxes can be used for education, so be it. And I have no children here, although I do have a couple of step-grandchildren. But I want to know what else you're going to do. You're not going to do anything for economic development. We got Nevenin that works on that. Somebody else that works on that. What are you going to do? I don't want to just hear about roads. I want to know about public health. What are you going to do for public health in our community? What are you going to do for social services in our community? That's what I want.
Okay, let's.
I can't be clearer than that.
Be as specific as you can. Be as specific as you can.
Well, I guess one of the things that's bothering me, if you want to know one of the issues that I see, is with the taxes and the things that are going on with that, is I see that we're going to increase our tax base by raising the taxes, and the Rainy Lake will be a vacation home for people from everywhere else, and they're really not people from our community. That's one of the things that I'd like to stop. I know a lot of people in my neighborhood are up in age, they're on fixed incomes, and this tax thing that I've spoken about is, why do we want to tax those people out of their homes so that we can have more money to spend on paving roads and things that we are spending money on right now? They're good things, but I don't want to see those type of people be taxed out of their homes and off the beautiful Rainy Lake that I grew up on. So that's one of the things that I'd like to see. Why do we have to raise those people's taxes and the taxes in those areas? Is it something that the community really needs? Where are we spending the dollars? I don't know that. And I want to find out, and I want to make decisions that make sense and that I can answer for. I've made a lot of unpopular decisions in my life, but I've always been able to back them up and tell people why that I made the decision, what I looked at, and the reason I did it. And that's the platform that I'd run on, is when I make a decision, I can stand behind it and tell you why I did it, and here's the facts and the figures and what I based my decision on. I usually don't base my decisions on because I feel like it at the time. Hey, that's a great idea, let's go do that. Well, what's going to cost? Who's going to pay for it? What are the benefits? And I feel that we don't have as much money and funding to do all these great things. So we really need to take a hard look at our budget and spend our money as wisely as we can and make the best decisions that we can. They're not going to be popular or the end all. There's nobody up here that's going to fix anything. All we can do is work at it. The school board isn't going to be able to fix our education problem. All they're going to do is work on it. And that's what I'm committed to, is working for you, the community, and try to make the best decisions that we can.
Mr. Held, would you like to respond?
Well, what I'm gonna bring to the table 6 years of experience on the city board in Little Fork. I'm also planning zoning. So watching the budget. So I don't know if that's gonna directly relate you. I'm not sure what what I'm gonna do for you exactly, specifically. Like I said, keeping the taxes down on the KED, make sure they're spending the money in the right spot. Or maybe they're spending too much on whatever it is. I'm not there in Matthews. Neither one of us are there yet. One of us will be, and we will do the best job we can for you and everybody else.
Follow up?
Well, I'm also a loud voice. I was born and raised here. I haven't lived here for a long time, and I've been back taking care of my mom for like 2.5-week vacation visit that turned into 4 years. Okay? So one of my major questions, and I guess kind of sort of for everybody, but we're on the city council right now, is how, instead of raising the tax base here as the first option, so educate me, because I don't know, are there people in the county, people on the city council, and people in the school that look for, apply for, and regulate how federal money, state money, county money, and local money work together? Now, one of the reasons I'm asking that is the building we're sitting in and this campus was put here with a combination of federal, state, county, and local money that was raised from people. I don't know if there was one tax dollar locally spent on this. I actually don't know. But so what I'm saying is there's a lot of money available from things we're already paying taxes into, federal, state, county, and local. Are these boards harnessing that money that's already taxpayer money? Is that a way to relieve some of the tax burden locally? I don't know. Educate me.
Are you talking specifically like about grants and that kind of thing?
All kinds of different money.
Yes.
All I know is in the last 2 years, the Democrats in particular have allocated a huge amount of money to individuals that got checks, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of organizations, all kinds of industries, all kinds of job creating activities. So that's what I'm saying is, if they're trying to create green industries, who is looking at the possibility of bringing green industry here, which helps the environment, helps us economically, helps our school district, because these are family people.
Mm-hmm.
These are people who are not so old they're going on retirement, doesn't help them, but I'm just saying, who are the individuals on the councils or in the courthouse or whomever are harnessing the money that's available.
So I know, and Jen, you can probably speak to this better than I can from being on the board previously, but I know specifically the school does employ, her job is to write for grants and get money from the states and at the federal level for the school, right?
And how is that person doing? How is that person doing?
Well, I can't speak to that, but.
Okay, I'm just saying.
So we do not have a specific grant writer. We have, Beth Slatinsky did an amazing job with a team of people and received a grant for the CAPE program, which is, I'm not going to get it all right, but it's children was working on reducing, promoting healthy, safe, non-drug and alcohol-related activities for children. That's a 5-year grant that they received, and they had that renewed. Beth Slatinsky is at the Community Ed Department, and she does a fabulous job of finding other resources as well. She's not specifically listed as a grant writer, although she has some experience, and we've been trying to encourage that as much as we can. The ESSER funds are a type of funds that were a significant amount of funds that were given to the district over the last few years in response to the COVID pandemic. And the school and the school board, the administration and the school board have worked hard to try to figure out how do we utilize as much as we can of all that. And they've worked hard to do that. And as I understand, we have tried our best to harness all of that. And some of it is very specified where it can go and how it can be used. And we try to make sure then we offer as many of those programs as we can because it's so necessary.
Well, that's why I was wondering if there was one person or 2 or 3 people or a board within the separate boards, that it was their responsibility to harness resources outside of the local.
So I'd like to address that. Currently in my current job, I'm the County Veteran Services Officer here in Koochiching County. Right now I'm administering a couple different programs that are funded at different levels of the government. So starting off, the core mission is to provide veterans with the benefits they've earned through their military service. When I started, we brought in about $9 million to the county. Right now, our last report, last year, we brought in $13 million to the veterans that live in Koochiching County in the form of benefits, medical care, et cetera. We've also been awarded a federal level grant for a suicide prevention project, which is $100,000 over 2.5 years. It's the Koochiching Warrior Initiatives Project, and I'd like to make a plug again for that we have some free community training that's coming up at the end of next week for mental health and suicide prevention. We also have a grant to put in a Veterans Memorial over at the Bacchus Community Center. That's a state level grant that we received. I also work with the local service organizations in the county, that's like the VFW, the American Legions, to provide the medical transportation program. So when I started my civilian career outside the military, that was one of my first jobs, was a grants and contracts manager. So I appreciate your question because it challenges that, you get creative, but then just like Jennifer was saying, you also got to be careful about what you ask for because you can paint yourself into a corner when you ask for money that have strings attached to them. So it can be a double-edged sword, but once again, you go into these contracts, these grant agreements with your eyes wide open.
Okay, we're going to wrap this up, and every candidate now will have a 3-minute presentation for the outgoing portion of it. Let's start with Kevin Adey.
I'd like to thank everyone for being here tonight, everyone who's listening on the radio. I hope you all got some ideas as to how you plan on voting. Thanks also to KCC TV and the local radio station for for doing what they do in these evening hours. And hope you all get out and vote on November 8th. And until then, take care.
Industry? 3-minute closing.
3 minutes is a long time. Well,
You don't have to use it.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. Like I said, I brought 6 years experience from being in the city of Little Fork. I'm happy either way because this is a good guy. So if he gets in there, that's great. So I'm going to be happy either way. Y'all have a good night.
Well, again, thank you, everyone. Some of the questions, I think I have more questions than anybody else. I'm not here to bring a lot of answers. I'm here to listen to the questions, ask questions, and try to work with the other county board members to come up with the best solutions that we can with the information that we have available. I want to use my education background and to ask the right questions and get some answers from the other people to come up with a better path forward than we can have. I mean, try to get the best result for what we have. We have a limited availability of dollars and a multitude of things that we want to spend it on. So what is the best use of our time and efforts? And just try to represent the people the best we can. Thank you.
Jackie?
Hi there. I too would like to thank KGHS, KSDM, the Chamber, and KCC-TV for not only providing us this opportunity to answer questions, but to broadcast it so that people who weren't able to attend, as you all did, can still hear the conversation. And thank you to the members of the audience for coming. You had other things I'm sure you could have done tonight, and you chose to come here, and good for you. I do want to address some of the questions for grant writing that was just asked or discussed. I think it's an underutilized opportunity. There are tons of grants out there right now for broadband. I'm happy to say that those have been used for both of those broadband projects I mentioned earlier. And that is something that I continue to pursue on the Kuching Technology Initiative. When we look for grant for broadband projects, we're not looking to spend county dollars. The county doesn't have the money. What I can tell you about the county budget is that for the 2022 budget, 51% of that money comes from state and federal dollars already. 3/4 of that is already spoken for. It's to carry out those requirements that the state and federal government puts on the county. Only less than 20% of that budget actually comes from tax revenue. But there's still not a lot of discretionary dollars to be spent. So one of my beliefs is that we need a grant writer. We need someone who specializes in finding the grants. We have great people in our community already doing some of this work. They mentioned Beth Satinsky doing grant writing for the school district. We have Joanne Smith out at KEDA for small business doing great. She doesn't necessarily write the grants. She helps people. So we have opportunities, but I think they're underutilized. I want to follow up by saying I am passionate about the people of Kuching County. I worked for 28 years for the county. I knew soon after I started working there, this was a job I was going to retire from. Once I retired, I decided I wasn't quite done. I still have a passion to help the citizens of the county, and this is my way to try and do that. If it doesn't work out, that's okay. I'm still on the Kuching Technology Initiative, so I'm working on those issues that are so passionate to me in the background. And I see the yellow sign, so I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for attending tonight.
Pete Gaylor.
Hi, like everybody else, and like I said, again, thank you all for coming and for everybody that's putting on here tonight, the Chamber, KCT-TV, KDSM, KGHS Radio, Lakes Country, if you haven't heard. And a little disappointed that they don't promote anybody Mr. Bolstead owes me some pops from our trip to the Wild game, it sounds like. No, and I would just like to say, you know, we talk all about this stuff. We need the community involved. Everybody supports veterans. I'm helping Mark. I'm part of that grant he has with the suicide prevention. Well, let's respect our veterans this year by either voting before or on November 8th. That is one of my biggest passions. Everybody's worried about if the elections are fair or not. I'll tell you what, I was the only one there when they're testing the voting machines earlier this September. That's not my point. My point is, let's vote. I'm more worried about the people that have the right to vote and don't than the couple that might not have the right and do it. And I think I will bring, as far as the office, I will work hard. I'm not going to have all the answers. I look at us more as a conduit to try and get some of these things done in connection with the other government agencies, whether it's a county, state, federal. And I can put a plug in for the sheriff's office where I work. The Captain John Fromke has got the county a lot of equipment through grants. So to answer your question, it is being done, but there's a lot more out there. And like I said, I'll work as hard as I can. I love International Falls. More importantly, this time I'm just running for the East Ward, where I grew up. I'm very passionate of being from Sioux Falls, Holler. As you can tell, I still call it Sioux Falls. I'm a Southie. Where I lived up with aunts and uncles all on the same block, within a couple blocks. My friends referred as Kalerville. They still do. And back to the school board part of this, I think there's probably some teachers that are amazed that from the class of 80, if they thought Pete Kaler, Jackie Nagel, Jackie Olson at the time of Mark Lassard were running for office, then we might not have been the three, they thought. So, but everybody gets a push. It's an opportunity to give back, and that's really what I'm doing. Like I said, I love International Falls. I love working with the people, and I'll work as hard as I can. Have a good evening. Thanks for coming.
Mike Barr.
Hello. Oh, yeah. So if you want to know a little more about me, I have a Facebook page, Bar 4 East Ward. So just check me out there. I put up a lot of content when I was running for mayor last time, and continue a little bit of that content on there. So, I mean, it's kind of the easiest way to figure out what I'm about. Otherwise, I mean, I'm just kind of trying to control some of the spending and trying to kind of control where our money goes and trying to maybe pay off some debt here and, you know, maybe get a little surplus before we worry about essential projects. All right, I think that covers it. Just, yeah, check me out on Facebook.
Jessica?
Oh, sorry, I gotta slip this in. If I didn't tell my campaign managers in the car, my dog Bandit, so you'll be happy we're wrapping it up.
Hey Pete, I'm a Holler kid too. I grew up in Carson Loopy, so not quite South Falls, but close. I want to thank everyone for coming, just like everybody else in the TV and the radio, for putting this on. It's a great opportunity for you to get to know the candidates and what we stand for. I'm an open book. What you see is what you get. And if you want somebody that's not afraid to speak their mind and that isn't going to follow along just because somebody tells me to, then I'm probably the person you want to vote for. I have my own thoughts. I am a great listener. And I'm always willing to change, I'm willing to change my train of thought if somebody has a good argument and rationale behind it. So if like I said, if you want somebody that's, I'm known for being pretty blunt, and sometimes that's not a good thing, but I feel like I could represent pretty well on the school board. I have a passion for the school. Obviously, I came through school. I was a cheerleader all through high school and college. Coached cheerleading for 15 years. I see the Mr. and Mrs. Locker out here. Were teachers when I was in school, and it's great to see that. So I have a passion for the school. I have a passion for the kids. I have great relationships with all I call them my girls, all my cheerleaders. And I want to do something to make it better. I know it can be better, and I want to be part of that. I want to be part of making the school better. So.
Same as everybody else, thank everybody for coming, and I want to thank the panel that showed up. I think that's a big step right there, just showing up, voicing your opinion, being up here for questions and answers. And it also shows who's going to commit, when somebody's showing up to these open forums as well. And I'm just here to say, I don't know all the ins and outs of the school board. I've been involved in a lot of different clubs, organizations, different things in the school as well, but I'm here to learn, and I'm hoping I can be the voice of the community and help communicate that back with the school board. And like Jess, I'm maybe not quite as blunt, but I am honest and I am upfront with people. So as well as if you have any questions for me, feel free to reach out.
Jennifer?
I again want to thank the TV station, the chamber, and the radio station for having us here and giving us this opportunity. And thank you for everyone who showed up here, but also is willing to get on the ballot and try to participate. And there's many of you out here I can see are already active people in the community, and I appreciate what you guys are doing too. I also thank you for your patience with me. I don't consider myself a public speaker, and so there's so much I love about talking about education, talking about our district, talking about the future, what we can do, where we've been, tough situations we've been through, how we've made decisions. I'm very willing to talk to anybody. Please reach out to me. Please encourage other people who have questions to reach out to me. Before I came, I was stopped to buy something at a hair salon, and that became a 25-minute conversation with people asking about what's going on about school. And I really appreciate everybody who has, through the last 4 years, offered support and given me support to say thank you for being there, thank you for asking questions, thank you for your commitment and for caring about the kids, thank you for making the decisions that you make. So I appreciate people that came out or have expressed their support for me through these last 4 years. I feel like I am excited about where the district can go, and I definitely know we have a lot of room for growth, and I believe we can really make the school a really positive place for good education, for well-rounded opportunities for our kids, for better communities. And I'm excited. I feel like we have I get to watch how staff members and families and students work together every day that I'm in the school. And I see it at school board meetings, I see it when I'm in the classrooms, I see it in the hallways, just random little moments that happen along the hallway, that there's a lot of love, there's a lot of commitment, there's a lot that goes into education. And I respect the staff and the administration for what they're trying to do. And I feel like as a board member, it's my job to support that, but also ask questions. And I'm not always the most popular person when I spend time talking to administrators or staff or families, but I'm willing to ask tough questions, and I'm really willing to listen, to understand perspectives and understand experiences and understand potential. So I appreciate your support. If you allow me to serve again, I will be very honored. Thank you for coming out.
Mark?
Yes, once again, thank all of you for showing up tonight. Thank you for the candidates that showed up tonight to be on the panel, KCTV, the radio station. And also I left one of the, as Jackie was talking, I thought, well, I also applied for a grant through the, help me, with the, for the automation. We brought in a TV or a VTC, a video teleconferencing system, so our veterans could do medical appointments remotely and also do their veterans board hearings. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. This is a great community. I can tell you, I've been blessed with an opportunity with my service to the military to serve in multiple countries around the world and work throughout the United States, and this has always been my home. I knew when I was, starting my career that I would end up back here someday. And this is, my dad, I remember him saying the same thing about his military service, that, he's been a lot of places, he was overseas, but this is the best place in the world. And I after what I've seen, I can say the same thing. It is. We've really got something here. This is a great community. We've got a great opportunity to have just to offer so many opportunities for our children, for people that are retiring, for people that need to get career or living wage type jobs. I think that the sky is the limit, and it's just going to take some energy, some vision, and a lot of work. And so, as Jennifer said, and everyone else has said, I also feel like I'm willing to put in the work. I know there's a lot about the school board, about the union, about the way the state works, the regulations, the statutes that I don't know. But I can tell you that I'm willing to put in the homework, to learn the system. That's been my career, both in the military and working for the health department in Anchorage, Alaska, is a lot of regulations, a lot of policies, a lot of law, and you've got to study it and learn it in order to operate effectively within those systems. So thank you all for being here. One more plug for our mental health suicide prevention training at the end of next week. If you're interested, and I hope you all are, we've got looks like about 40 slots left, and you can call our office at the CVSO, which talk to Heidi, 283-1179, and thank you all once again for being here. Thanks.
And thank you. RJ Broadcasting, KSDM and KGHS Radio, along with the International Falls Chamber of Commerce and KCC TV, would like to thank you all for coming tonight. We would especially like to thank our candidates for being a part of the democratic process by running for office and for being willing to serve our community. You can find more information about the candidates and about voting at mnvotes.org. And again, thank you for coming, and remember to vote on November 8th.